Welcome back to another episode of Retro ReWire. My name is JJ, and we are back for another In the Hunt episode at the Mihama Ward Chiba Japan hard off. That was a little bit of a mouthful, but in the previous episode, what you're seeing on screen here, just a quick recap, this place is full of hardware, and we're talking about new stuff, retro stuff, handheld stuff, all sorts of hardware, and we're going to continue that with this episode. And I want to say this is probably the heaviest, possibly one of the more impressive aisles, especially if you're into retro gaming. And we're going to start with the Nintendo GameCube here. And as you can see, some of them are equipped with the Game Boy player, some of them have controllers, some of them are just console only, and some of them are complete in the box, as is the case here, which is with this Orange Spice. We have its Game Boy player, the console coming in at $19,800. I have this colored GameCube, although my Game Boy player is silver, and I do like that two-toned look. And then here we have a carrying case for the Game Boy, the GameCube, pardon me. And as we open it, we have a silver one with two controllers, and it looks like there's a manual in there, and I'm sure it includes all the cables. So pretty cool to see that one. We have a Virtual Boy in the back for 38,500 yen, and that is going to be surrounded by a number of Game & Watches, both the original and then the modern re-released one, and a Hyper Boy by Konami. And I do like that little Yoshi that's sitting up above there, that woolly yarn, or I know that has its own game, but pretty cool to see that. And I think it's also like an amiibo or something. But up above that, we have Game Boys in the advanced variety. And I got to say, this micro coming in at 19,800 yen right in the middle. Really cool color. Pretty cool to see the printer as well. And it looks like that's 16,500 yen, and it has the camera. And then this thing, look at this. This is for the hardcore Nintendo enthusiast. We have the disc writer. And this kind of is a little storage case for your disk system games, but it mimics the little kiosk that they had available where you could overwrite your game for a new one. Haven't seen this before, coming in at 22,000 yen, but definitely really cool, and that could definitely be a showpiece for the game room. But look at these Game Boy Advances just lined up, and then we have more micros in the box in the back, and then another disc writer little storage unit there. And then that clear cased Game Boy, that's pretty cool, that transparent one. But yeah, really cool to see that. And then I do like this this little Mario coming out of the pipe. Pretty cool. And never mind the Astro City Mini, we got a Vectrex. Look at this, 129,800 yen. A 6-month warranty if you reside in Japan. But this is cool, and this is the first time that I've seen one of these in Japan. I've seen one of these in the States, as they're more common, but definitely the first time seeing here in Japan. But let's go ahead and make our way down this same aisle, and a ton of 64s, Nintendo 64s, so many. In fact, I had so much Nintendo hardware. But yeah, the 64, great machine. We have Super Famicoms. Some of them have seen better days. And then we got the top loader AV units and Sega Saturn. Now this Victor Saturn Model 2, this is actually one that I own, and I do like the color scheme here. I paid a little bit less, but I think this price is not too bad for what you're getting there. And they also have the original Model 1 and the Model 2. Now the Model 2, the white one, that's pretty sleek. Really nice design, although I think my favorite is the North American Model 1 Saturn. But here we have Model 1 Sega Mega Drive or Sega Genesis, and I believe all of these are the AV intelligent terminal ones, so you're going to be getting some pretty good chips in there. And then we have Dreamcasts. There's actually 4, as there's 2 behind the first 2 there, so pretty good stock there with the Dreamcast. Then we have the translucent Nintendo 64 for 27,500 yen, and a GameCube bundled with the Game Boy player coming in at 22,000. Pretty cool to see this. And the previous Surugaya that we went to, they had one that actually included 2 controllers on top of all that stuff. But here we have more box stuff. We have a Mega Drive 2. This is the only one that they had in stock for 19,800 yen. A Neo Geo X for 44,000, and more Nintendo stuff complete in the box. Now the warranties, it looks like they're all coming in with 3-month warranties, but those are only valid if you live in Japan. But still, a lot of this stuff is going to work, and it should remain working for for a while, depending on how much maintenance and how well you treat these things, as they are kind of old. But let's go ahead and look at some games. And the games, the selection, I want to say overall is pretty good. It's decent. We have a Castlevania 3 there. It's missing the manual. That's why it's a little bit discounted. But yeah, their selection of games can't really compare to the selection of hardware that they had. But nonetheless, we're going to take a look, as we're all looking for different items, and you just never know what you're going to find. We got a Super Mario Land there for the Game Boy for $16.50. We got Tetris front and center, Pac-Man. What else do we got? Some Konami business there for the, what's that, a Game Boy Color game. And then we have like this Namco collection for the Game Boy. It's a volume 1. It has Mappy and a few other Namco classics. But then we have this Game Boy Advance with the TV adapter. Now this one has the little off-mall sticker, but I haven't seen one of these in the wild, and that thing looks pretty clean. In fact, I really dig that color of the Game Boy Advance. It's so clean. Look at that. And coming in at $11,000. And then we just got a whole bunch of other knickknacks in the back there. And then here we have a pair of Neo Geo Pocket Colors. I do like that one on the left that has kind of like the texture of carbon fiber. Pretty cool looking design there. And then we got our Wonder Swans color Wonder Swans. And PC Engine, we got the Core Graphics 2. In fact, they have 2 of them there, and then they have the original one. And some Famicom 3D system glasses coming in at $7,000 before sales tax. And another top loader, and then we have the Hori Nintendo 64 gamepad in the yellow color. Not too bad. And what do we have here? Some Mega Drive stuff. We got the Soul Neo Geo game that they had in this place. In fact, yeah, that Joe Boxer or whatever it's called, that's the only Neo Geo game that I think I saw here. But all sorts of great shooters for the Mega Drive, Thunder Force 4, Tatsujin, and then we have, this one is a Grindstormer or something like that in the States, a toll plan game, but that one is missing the manual. And it has a little bit of tearing there on the cover art. And then we have the Victor Saturn modem. Look at this, $4,500 before sales tax. I haven't seen one of these before, but pretty cool. And then we have the Hello Kitty complete in the box for 49,500 yen, and that has a 6-month warranty if you reside in Japan. And next to that, we have the Model 1 V Saturn. I'm telling you, these guys are just fully stocked with hardware. I wonder what they have in the back. Unless they have everything, merchandised out on the sales floor, but there's the Model 2. And I gotta say, between the two of them, I have the Model 2, but that Model 1 is just a little bit more sleek. Especially that V Saturn and the logo, it just pops. Love it. And then here we're gonna see some more games. I think that was the final bit of hardware, and from here on out it's just gonna be pure games. But all sorts of stuff, and most of these games are going to be complete in the box, unless they say otherwise. There's a few of them you'll notice that will say that the manual is missing. But we have a Rockman World there for the Game Boy, Part 1 and Part 5. I actually have Part 1. I found it in the junk section. Now for Game Boy stuff, I went kind of crazy a few months ago with my Game Boy pickups. But a lot of this stuff, I don't really mind having it just in the loose cart. And then here we have some Super Famicoms. We have Super Metroid, 6,000 yen before sales tax. And then I believe next to that is NX's Terranigma, something like that. And to the right of that, they have a Super Castlevania 4 for 5,000. And it includes the box, but it is missing the manual. Or there is some damage to it. Not too bad. And definitely feel free to pause. Now, I do like the merchandising that they had here, because here all of this stuff in this little bin, this little tote, everything is missing the manual. But as you can see, the boxes are in fairly good condition. I mean, look at that. We have Garo or Fatal Fury coming in at 500 yen. I think a lot of the Famicom stuff was just 500 yen. Well, here we go, 1,000 yen for Ranma 1/2. Now this is a fighter, and I believe there was 2 fighters of this series for the Super Famicom, and I used to have one. One of them actually released stateside, and I remember it having pretty good music. And then in the back we have Episode 1 Star Wars Racer, I believe this one got an HD remaster just last year, although they should have based it off of the Sega Dreamcast version instead of the N64. And then here we have some more games. A lot of good stuff here. We got a Neo Geo CD title there, a sports title, Soccer Brawl, and then we have Die Hard for the PC Engine. Look at that cover. That just screams there will be violence, and that's coming in at 14,850 yen. And this is pretty hilarious. Street Fighter 2 for the PC Engine, and then we have Bonk 3. We got Burger, and then we have this what is that? Technosoft. I believe that's like a beat 'em up featuring a family, which is kind of a funny little premise. I've seen this game before. I think it's like an action type of game for the PlayStation 1 there. But then in the back, we have X-Men versus Street Fighter. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so we can see the price. And it's coming in at 6,050 yen. And it looks to be in fairly decent shape. They also had an Outrun for the Sega Saturn coming in at 8,800 yen. That one has definitely shot up in price in the last couple of years. And then here we have some Sega Mega Drive. That's another machine that I'm kind of getting back into. I recently acquired a Sega Mega Drive 2 in the junk section. And that's a pretty rare thing to find in the junk section. But anyhow, with the games at hand, we have a Mortal Kombat there coming in at 5,000 yen before sales tax. We have Golden Axe. We have Mutant League Football. Had no idea that got a release in Japan. We got Bare Knuckle 2. We got Disney's Aladdin Fat Man. All sorts of great stuff here. We got a boxing title there coming in at 2,000 yen. But yeah, a lot of good stuff for the Sega Mega Drive here. I kind of want to get Mortal Kombat again for the Genesis. Put in that blood code. And we got Echo the Dolphin. What else do we got? Is that Golden Axe 3 coming in at 20,000 yen? Man, that's another pricey game. But here we go. Let's go ahead and look at the stacks. And as I said before, this shop is definitely epic in regard to the hardware that they have. Now, on the software side of things, there's a lot of software here, and there's a lot of good stuff to be had. But nothing, I want to say, at least for me, for where I find myself with my collecting, it's usually just going to be the stuff that's crazy expensive that I'm really going to want, because a lot of the common stuff which you see here, like Mario Kart for the Game Boy Advance, 500 yen, I already have a lot of this stuff. But for those of you that are hunting for it, this is the spot. And then here we have Picross 2, and we have Mario and Wario on the cover. Haven't played that one, but that's for the Game Boy. Pretty cool cover, actually. And then we have the system card version 1.0 coming in at 500 yen before sales tax. And then we have some more Mega Drive games. And just below that, we have 2 Macross games for the PC Engine. And I believe one of those is a pretty cool shooter. But we're going to take a look at Virtual Racing here, coming in at 1650. A little bit of damage there. That's why it's at that price. But haven't actually played the Genesis version. But we have Soul Calibur 2 for the Nintendo GameCube. And that's definitely my preferred version. Although the one on the Xbox does have Spawn. And it does output at 720p if you have the component cables. And, you know, I'm a big fan of the character Spawn too. Especially the animated series by HBO. That was pretty cool back in the day. And a lot of what we're seeing here for the GameCube is what you would expect. A lot of first-party stuff. We got Mario Kart Double Dash coming in at 1650. We got the Nintendo 64 and more Famicom boxed and N64 boxed stuff. In fact, let's go ahead and look at one of these. And the one that really calls to my attention is going to be this Donkey Kong 64. And it's coming in at 3,000 yen before sales tax. But it is missing the expansion cart. And I believe that's required to play that game. Although they did have expansion carts in one of the showcases. And then here we have the Secret of Mana 3. I do have this, and I have it on the Switch, and I definitely would like to play. I believe this game actually got like a remake. And that remake, I played the demo, and it was actually pretty good. I was having a good time with that one. And then just a lot of first-party titles here just kind of hanging, chilling, waiting to be picked up. We have Goemon there. That's a great game on the N64. What else do we have? Anything that calls out? But we have some Super Famicom stuff. And you know, the Super Famicom, that's lately I've been getting the Super Famicom bug. I recently picked up Hagane, and it was missing the manual, but you know what? I don't care. I have some unfinished business with that game, and I want to beat it. But I'm looking forward to deep diving into that one. But not too bad on the prices here. We have Yoshi's Island there coming in at 800 yen before sales tax. And I do like that cover to Monopoly. That's not something that I would buy, but I do appreciate that cover. And then just some more stuff in the back. And then on our way into the Famicom stuff. Now the Famicom, I bought an AV top loader last year, but I think I'm going to sell it. Just because I don't really have too much nostalgia for the original NES Famicom, as I didn't have one growing up. But there is a few games that maybe I want to play before I offload it. Namely, some of the Castlevanias and the Ninja Gaidens. I remember playing Ninja Gaiden Trilogy on Xbox. But here we have Sonic the Hedgehog coming in at 500 yen before sales tax. And it's complete with the manual, but it just has a little bit of water damage in the upper left. And I was meaning to totally pick that up, but completely forgot. And then there's a Super Mario Bros. 3, which has a little bit of damage to the box. In fact, if you look at the UPC code in the back, you can see that it's torn, and that's why it's at that price. Otherwise, it would be more, maybe behind the case. But yeah, a lot of interesting stuff here. But again, you know, the Famicom, I wonder what this is. Is this like a Yoshi's Cookie? Maybe not. A different type of game, but I do like that cover with Yoshi there. But now let's go into the Nintendo 3DS. Now, the 3DS is the little handheld that has been keeping me busy these last couple of weeks. And man, this thing is a freaking awesome system. Super Mario 3D Land, 500 yen before sales tax. That's not a bad price at all. I wonder how much that goes in the States. And then we have New Super Mario Bros. 2. They're selling it at, looks like 1,200 yen before sales tax. Now, if you look around, you could find this for about 500 yen. So they don't really have the best price for that particular game here. And then we have some Phoenix Wright. I picked up the trilogy actually for the Nintendo 3DS, and it's pretty cool because it has some 3D effects. I really dig that. And then we have some Smash there for 800 yen. That's another game that you can find a little bit cheaper if you look around. But still, the 3DS, a lot of great titles for this amazing little handheld. What else do we have here? We got the Xenoblade. Just a bunch of stuff that we got. Some Professor Layton stuff there. Shin-chan. And what else? Some Resident Evil. Now, Resident Evil, that actually has full English language options. And at 500 yen, that's not too bad. And that actually supports the Circle Pad Pro. Then we have Pac-Man Dimensions. I had no idea that was on the 3DS. And there we go. Look at that. 500 yen for Smash. You just have to look a little bit. And some of the games are going to be lower, priced a little bit lower. Dragon Ball Fusions. I wonder how this game is. 500 yen. I really dig the 3DS, especially that 3D feature. I always have it cranked all the way to 100. I do like this cover to Fire Emblem. Although I have to admit, I've never played a Fire Emblem game. And then Ocarina of Time 3D. Oh man, that's the best way to play that game. At least for me. And then on our way into the Nintendo DS, I recently picked up a DS Fat, and that's another little portable that I've been playing a lot of recently. Chrono Trigger coming in at 2,000 yen. It is missing the manual. Otherwise, that would probably be at 3,000 yen. And then we have some various Pokemon games. I don't really know too much about Pokemon, but I do know that it's huge. And then we have Seventh Dragon. Kind of an interesting cover, this. Not really sure what type of game it is, but let's see here. Judging by those screenshots, it could be RPG, it looks like. I wonder if that got a stateside release. Most likely, as this thing was huge in America as well. The world over. And what do we have here? New Super Mario Bros. 500 yen. That's not a bad price. And then Mario Party DS. I haven't played that one. Then Mario 64 DS. That's actually a pretty good conversion, and they added a few things that make it worth a replay. But all sorts of stuff in the DS section. Let's go ahead and go to some PlayStation portables, which are just as legendary. In fact, I want to say the PSP may be my favorite portable of all time. But we have Ridge Racers. Now that is an excellent game. And the sequel gets even better, but you can't go wrong with the original. And a ton of RPGs are available. And look at these, the films, the movies. Now the cool thing about the movies is that they often do have English language and subtitles. And I believe they're region free as well. We got Dissidia Final Fantasy. I believe that got a release on Switch and PlayStation 4 and other modern platforms. Haven't actually played it myself, but I have seen it at the arcade as well. And then we have some PlayStation Vita, another awesome console. I definitely want to get the slim line of Vitas. This was actually a really cool console, and one of the few consoles that I got on launch day. And then here we have Final Fantasy X, 10-2 for $16.50. And Gravity Days. I actually do have a copy of that. And then we have Biohazard Revelations 2. That one is cool that it's on the Vita, but it's definitely not the best way to play it. And then we have Neo Angelique. Have no idea what that's about, but let's go ahead and go into some 32-bit action here with the PlayStation, Sega Saturn. But before that, let's start at the bottom shelf here. We have Shin Megami Tensei 5. You know, I got that day one for the Switch, and I have not played it yet. I did an unboxing on it, but I definitely got to dig in deep. And then we have Demon Slayer. No clue what that is, but interesting cover nonetheless. But this is a better cover. Look at that. Final Fantasy, the Warrior of Light, I believe. But that Amano artwork looks freaking awesome. And that one's a little bit discounted because it's saying that there's some kind of damage, and it looks a little bit yellow, so that's what they could be talking about. Now look at this cover. Now this is kind of like a horror game or something like that, but that thing looks pretty wicked. And look at the screenshots. You're at a school, a group of girls, it's night, got the flashlight. That could be really good, but probably one, if you don't know Japanese, you're gonna be out of luck. But I imagine that could be a really good experience, horror experience. We got X4 as well as X5. A little bit of damage there. And it looks like that could be missing the OV card. I heard this one wasn't really good. I have it in the form of the collection for the PlayStation 2. I do like the music to the opening stage though. And look at this. Curiosity Kills the Cat. Oh man, this could be good too. There's all sorts of horror games on the PlayStation 1. In fact, the PlayStation 1 is so crazy with its game library. Look at this Klonoa Volleyball. This is probably one that we'll never see a release again. They recently released the Klonoa collection, but this definitely was not on it. And then we have Persona 2. We got Eternal Punishment and Innocent Sin. I wonder what Innocent Sin adds. Maybe a little few extras. And then we have the original Persona, Be Your True Mind. The greatest hits, but I wonder, it looks like the greatest hits have different artwork and subtitles, so they could add a little bit of extra content perhaps. Persona, this has always had some pretty cool art style. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Never played those back in the day though. Too busy playing Street Fighter. And then here we have Koei, some kind of a strategy game, I imagine. Star Ocean: The Second Story. And what this game, I'm sure got a release stateside. I just forget the name, but it's kind of interesting that it was made by Yuke's. Now they were responsible for the Dreamcast and PS2 versions of Berserk, as well as a few wrestling titles, at least publishing them in Japan. Now this is interesting. Look at that. Kero Kero King. And it looks like it's all sorts of mini games and stuff, but I do like the art style on that. That could be potentially a good game. And then we have Hyper Heat by Jellico, or at least published by them. That one could be another interesting title. Then we have Monster Farm by Tecmo. I forget that they're the publisher behind the Monster Farm series. I'm just so used to seeing Dead or Alive or Ninja Gaiden with that. And I think this is like a pachinko game. I have no idea. So crazy, all these great PlayStation 1 games. Then we have King of Fighters 98. Missing the manual there. And then we have Space Invaders. 300 yen, that's not too bad of a price. And what else do we have here? Got some Evergreen Avenue. That is another one I haven't heard of before. Looks like it's a RPG, visual novel type of thing. And we're going to pull out a few more games. Got to explore here. What do we have? I have no idea what that could be. And then we have Final Fantasy 2. Once again, coming at you with awesome artwork. Look at that. That's just stuff that you could have framed, honestly. You get a high quality print. And then we have Digital Glider Airman. Look at that. I'm telling you, the PlayStation 1 library is vast. A lot of interesting stuff here. And then what do we have? The Game of Life DX Unsei. I wonder how this is. Doesn't really grab my attention, to be honest. And then we have The Legend of Dragoon. I haven't played this one. Although I believe that's like a first party title. I remember Sony really pushing it. And then we have Grandia. 800 yen before sales tax. I hear the Saturn port is a bit better in some regard. And then we have Ridge Racer Revolution. This is the game that I've been playing recently on the PS1 with the old Nikon controller. And not a bad game at that. Very basic, mind you, but still pretty fun if you're into arcade racers. And then we have Dance Dance Revolution. Man, that's a long-running series. And this is like another like horror game. Look at that. Look at the little evil granny in that eye. What the heck is going on here? That could be an interesting game. Really interesting. Then we have a Gundam game, The War for Earth. Little bit of damage there is what the label is saying. And then Colin McRae, The Rally. I definitely picked this one up. And this game was practically brand new. I was so surprised at the condition. It was excellent condition, but really enjoying that game. Then we have Growlancer. This could be like a strategy RPG, perhaps. Kageto by Tecmo. Xenogears coming in at 1,000 yen before sales tax. And then we have Baroque. Now, this got a remake that was available for the Wii and the PS2. And I believe the original was also released on the Sega Saturn. It's like a roguelike RPG. In fact, I think I used to have it for the Nintendo Wii. And then here we have a fighter, Cosmo Warrior Zero. This looks like an interesting fighter. In fact, I was thinking about picking this up, but at the end of the day, I decided not to. Then we have Eve Zero. And you know what? The PlayStation section is actually quite small, but with everything that we've taken a looked at, or that we're looking at, there's a lot of variety here. And then up above that, we have the Sega Saturn Children of the Atom X-Men for 4,000 yen before sales tax. And then we have Remix here, a little bit of damage, but it's coming in at 500 yen before sales tax. And then Tomb Raiders. I have the North American version of this game, but I'm thinking I'm going to sell it for this. I do like that cover. That was a great game. A little bit better on the PlayStation 1, but still, the Saturn was no slouch. And then we have Puzzle Bobble 2X. And then Christmas Nights coming in at 300 yen. It looks like they have 2 copies of that. And that D's Diner. And then we have Rond. A lot of interesting games for the Saturn as well. Vampire Hunter, that's a classic. But going back to this, let's take a look at Rondo. Let's take a look at the back there, and it could be RPG, strategy RPG. It's an Atlas game of that era, so most likely. And then we have Starfighter 3000 coming in for 1,000 yen. That was also on the 3DO and the PlayStation 1. And then they had a small Dreamcast section here, just kind of at the very top shelf. I wish there was more Dreamcast here. F355 Ferrari, that's one that I would like to try out. And a small section of 360. And a super, I think they only have like one original Xbox game there. Jet Set Radio Future. That game really deserves an HD remaster, but here we have Ninja Gaiden 2. That's a freaking masterpiece. And we have Left 4 Dead and Jet Set Radio Future. Look at that cover. That's another poster quality cover. But yeah, Xbox 360, and then up above that we have the PlayStation 2. Now the PlayStation 2 we're just going to quickly glance at. I think I'll cover that more extensively at another hard off. But still, a few titles here. In fact, I think there was more PlayStation 2 games than there was PS1, and you saw what they had in the PS1 section. A pretty good library of games. So we have Caution Seaman. Now that looks to be complete, and it's coming in at 1,500 yen before sales tax, or 1,650. And then we have our PlayStation 3 games. Oh yeah, the PlayStation 3, that was my platform of choice for the 7th generation of video game consoles. And then PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. Balan Wonderland. I believe that's by Yuji Naka, and that one has some hardcore Nights into Dream vibes. And then a very small section of Xbox One titles down below. But a number of PlayStation 4 games here. Here's one that recently was released, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion. I wonder how that game is. I believe it's just like a remaster of the PSP title with a little bit added content. Then we have the Rumblefish 2 at 6,600 yen, and those are all the goodies that are included. Now this is a fighting game, but I don't know too much about it. And then we have our Nintendo Switch section. I love collecting games for the Switch. Look at that. But you know, for the Switch, honestly, I tend to get most of my stuff online, as usually the second-hand market here is still a little bit pricey. Then we have some kind of puzzle platformer type of game, perhaps. And then ARMS, look at that. I think that was like a launch title. I completely had forgotten about this game. And I actually never played it. I wonder if that was any good. Seems a little bit gimmicky, but I haven't really played it. Then we have Superhero Girls, no clue what that could be. A couple of visual novels. And then Remothered. Now this one was recently on sale on the Japan eShop, and it was coming in at like 500 yen. That's a super, super good deal. We have Space Invaders. Doraemon, a few Doraemon games. Bayonetta 2 coming in at 5,000 yen before sales tax. That's a pretty good price actually for that game. Then Ni no Kuni, I do like that cover. That's a really cool cover actually. And then we have our Wii U and our Wii games. Front and center actually. But yeah, this place, man. So much hardware, quite a bit of software. I feel personally that the hardware is definitely where they take the cake. But here we have Twilight Princess coming in at 300 yen. That's peanuts. And then Skyward Sword. Now that does include the gold Wiimote. So that's definitely a collector's item, and it's coming in at 4,400 yen. That's not too bad, especially if you're all about Zelda. That actually would be a pretty cool Wiimote to have. And then we have Disney Princess coming in at 2,000 yen before sales tax. But yeah, guys, overall, I was really impressed with this location. A lot of hardware, a lot of games, a pretty good selection in the junk section. A lot of good stuff here. I actually only purchased 2 games, that Colin McRae and then R-Type 3, the Third Lightning for the Super Famicom. Was really happy with those purchases, but there was a few other things that I saw that I really wanted, but I definitely didn't want to go over the budget. But anyhow, thank you for watching Retro ReWire. My name is JJ, and we'll catch you soon. Ciao.